My daughter-in-law said I'm too old. A month later, I got custody of the kids. Hi everyone! Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I never imagined I would raise children twice in one lifetime. My name is Margaret Cole, and I am 68 years old. My hands shake a little when I pour coffee now, and my knees protest when I climb stairs. But my heart is still strong. Strong enough to love, strong enough to break, strong enough to heal. This is the story of how my daughter-in-law told me I was too old to care for my grandchildren, and how, 1 month later, those same children came to live with me. Henry died on a Tuesday in October, 3 years before any of this happened. One moment he was raking leaves in the backyard. The next, he was on the ground, clutching his chest. Massive heart attack, the doctors said. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. We'd been married for 42 years. I didn't know how to be a person without him. For weeks after the funeral, I sat in our house, the house we'd bought when David was born, the house where we'd raised our son, celebrated Christmases, hosted birthday parties, and I felt like a ghost. The silence was unbearable. The rooms echoed with memories, but no voices. I would make coffee for 2 every morning, then remember. I would set the table for dinner and realize I was alone. David came to check on me every few days. My son, 38 years old, with his father's kind eyes and my stubborn chin. He'd sit at the kitchen table, drinking the coffee I made too strong, and ask how I was doing. "I'm managing," I'd say, which was a lie. "Mom, you don't have to do this alone. Claire and I have been talking. Why don't you come stay with us for a while? Just until you're feeling better." Claire, his wife of 10 years. A pretty woman with blonde hair and expensive taste, who worked in marketing and always seemed to be on her phone. We'd never been particularly close, but we'd been cordial, polite. She'd never given me reason to dislike her. "I don't want to impose," I said. "You're not imposing. You're family, and the kids would love it. Lily asks about you all the time." Lily, my granddaughter, 7 years old, with pigtails and a gap-toothed smile. And Jacob, 4, who still called me Gamma, because he couldn't quite manage Grandma yet. The thought of them, their laughter, their sticky hands, their endless energy was the first thing that made me feel something other than grief. Just for a little while, I agreed. That little while became 6 months, then a year, then 2 years. I never went back to my house. David and Claire insisted I stay, and truthfully, I didn't want to leave. The house on Maple Street became my home, and my grandchildren became my reason for waking up each morning. In the beginning, it was beautiful. I would wake at 6 before anyone else and make coffee in the quiet kitchen. The machine gurgled and hissed, filling the room with warmth and that rich, dark smell that reminded me of Henry. I'd sit at the table with my Bible and my coffee, watching the morning light creep across the floor, and I'd feel grateful. By 7, I'd hear the thunder of small feet on the stairs. Jacob would appear first, dragging his blanket, his hair sticking up in all directions. He'd climb into my lap without a word, still half asleep, and I'd hold him while he woke up slowly, breathing in his little boy smell of strawberry shampoo and dreams. Lily would come down next, already chattering about school, about her friends, about the book she was reading. She'd sit beside me and steal sips of my coffee, making a face at the bitterness, and I'd laugh and pour her a glass of milk instead. "Can you make pancakes, Grandma?" she'd ask, and I always said yes. I made pancakes every morning, buttermilk pancakes with blueberries, the recipe my own mother had taught me when I was Lily's age. I'd heat the griddle, pour the batter in perfect circles, flip them at just the right moment when the bubbles formed and popped. The kids would sit at the counter, watching, waiting, swinging their legs. David would come down in his suit and tie, already checking his phone, always running a little late. He'd kiss the tops of the kids' heads, grab a pancake to eat on the way to work, thank me quickly. Claire would appear last, perfectly made up, perfectly dressed, her heels clicking on the tile floor. She'd look at the pancakes, at the kids' syrupy faces, at the dishes in the sink, and she'd smile. But even then, even in the good days, there was something tight about that smile. "You didn't have to do all this, Margaret," she'd say. "I wanted to," I'd answer. After they left for school and work, I'd clean the kitchen, do the laundry, straighten the rooms. I'd make the beds and fold tiny socks and pick up scattered toys. It wasn't a burden. It was love made visible, tangible, real. In the afternoons, I'd pick up Lily from school. She'd run to the car, her backpack bouncing, full of stories about her day. We'd stop at the park sometimes, or the library, or the ice cream shop if she'd been especially good. Jacob would be waiting at home with the sitter, and when we arrived, he'd abandon whatever toy he was playing with and run to me. "Gamma! Gamma home!" Those moments. God, those moments were everything. I'd make dinner while the kids did homework at the kitchen table. Lily would ask for help with math, and I'd sit beside her, guiding her through word problems. Jacob would color, his tongue poking out in concentration, and he'd show me every picture. "Look, Gamma, I made you." Always me, never Claire. I noticed that even then. When Claire came home, dinner would be ready. Pot roast or chicken casserole or spaghetti with meatballs. Comfort food, the kind I'd made for David when he was growing up. I'd set the table, pour the wine, call everyone to eat. We'd sit together, a family, and for a while, everything felt right. The kids would chatter, David would tell jokes, and I'd watch them all and think, this is where I'm meant to be. But Claire would be quiet. She'd push food around her plate, sip her wine, check her phone. And sometimes, when she thought no one was looking, she'd watch me with an expression I couldn't quite read. It should have warned me, but I was too grateful, too content to see what was coming. The change happened gradually, like winter settling in. You don't notice the first cold day, but suddenly you realize you need a coat. It started with small comments. "Margaret, you really don't need to make breakfast every day. The kids can have cereal." "Margaret, I hired a cleaning service. You don't have to do all that housework." "Margaret, maybe you should rest more. You're not getting any younger." That phrase, "you're not getting any younger." As if I didn't know, as if my aching joints didn't remind me every morning, as if the mirror didn't show me the truth. But I didn't want to rest. I wanted to be useful. I wanted to be needed. "I don't mind," I'd say. "It gives me something to do." "That's exactly the problem," Claire said one evening, after the kids were in bed. We were in the kitchen. I was washing dishes. She was leaning against the counter with her wine glass. "You're doing too much. You're making yourself indispensable, and it's not healthy." "I'm just trying to help." "I know. But David and I need to figure out our own routine with the kids. We need to be their parents, not just the people who come home after you've already done everything." I turned to look at her, soap suds dripping from my hands. "I'm not trying to replace you, Claire." "Aren't you?" Her voice was soft, but there was steel underneath. "Lily calls for you when she has a nightmare, not me. Jacob won't eat dinner unless you make it. They light up when you walk in the room and barely notice when I do." "That's not true." "It is true, Margaret. And I appreciate everything you've done. I really do. But it's time to let us be a family without you in the middle of it." The words hit me like a slap. "Without me in the middle?" "You know what I mean." "No, I don't think I do." She sighed. That exasperated sound people make when they think you're being deliberately difficult. "I'm saying maybe you should think about going back to your house, getting your own life back. You've been here for 2 years, Margaret. 2 years. Don't you want your independence? This is my family. It's David's family, not yours." The kitchen went silent, except for the drip of the faucet. "I see," I said quietly. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just being honest. The kids are getting older. They need structure, consistency. They need their parents to be the primary caregivers, not their grandmother. I dried my hands on the dish towel, folded it carefully, placed it on the counter. If that's what you want, I can spend less time with them. I can stay in my room more, give you space. That's not a solution. That's just you tiptoeing around in your own son's house. What do you want me to do, Claire? She looked at me for a long moment. I think you should move back to your house. I felt the floor shift beneath my feet. Does David know you're saying this to me? David agrees that it might be time for you to have your own space again. Then why isn't he telling me himself? Because he doesn't want to hurt you. But I'm his wife, Margaret. His first responsibility is to me and our children, not to making sure your feelings don't get hurt. I wanted to argue. I wanted to remind her that I'd been there when Lily had colic, walking the floors at 3 a.m. because Claire was exhausted. I'd been there when Jacob had the flu and she had to work. I'd been there for homework and boo-boos and bad dreams and birthday parties, but pride, or maybe just weariness, kept me silent. I'll talk to David, I said. Good. She left the kitchen, taking her wine with her, leaving me standing alone by the sink. I didn't move for a long time. I just stood there, listening to the house settle around me, and tried to understand how love had become an imposition. David avoided the conversation for 3 days. He'd leave for work early, come home late, kiss the kids goodnight, and disappear into his office or his bedroom. When I tried to catch his eye, he'd look away. Finally, I cornered him on Saturday morning. Claire had taken the kids to a birthday party, and we were alone in the house. We need to talk, I said. He was at the kitchen table with his laptop, pretending to work. Mom, I'm in the middle of something. David, please. He closed the laptop with a sigh. I know what this is about. Do you want me to leave? It's not that simple. Yes or no, David. It's very simple. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I recognized from his childhood whenever he was stressed. Claire thinks, we both think that maybe it would be good for you to have your own space again. You've been through so much with Dad dying, and you've been amazing with the kids, but I'm in the way. You're not in the way. You could never be in the way. But Mom, you have your own life, your own house, your own friends. Don't you miss that? I miss your father every second of every day, I said quietly. But being here, with you and the kids, that's what got me through it. That's what made me want to keep living. His face crumpled. Mom, don't say that. It's the truth. This family saved me, David, and now you're telling me it's time to go. We're not kicking you out. We're just saying maybe it's healthier if you have your own space. You can still see the kids all the time. Nothing has to change. Everything has already changed, I said. Your wife wants me gone. She said the kids are too attached to me. She said I'm in the middle of your family. She didn't mean it like that. How did she mean it then? He was quiet for a long moment. Mom, you're 68 years old. Don't you think it's time to focus on yourself, on what you want? You've spent your whole life taking care of other people. Maybe it's time to rest. There it was again. That word, rest. As if I were an old dog being put out to pasture. And if I don't want to rest? If I want to be with my grandchildren? You can be, just not every day, not every moment. Claire needs to be their mother, and she can't do that with you doing everything first. I see. Mom? When do you want me to leave? We're not pushing you out. Take your time. A few weeks, a month, whenever you're ready. I nodded, stood up, walked to the door. Mom, David called after me. I love you. You know that, right? I know you think you do, I said, and I went upstairs to my room. I sat on the bed, the guest bed that had been my bed for 2 years, and I looked around at the space that had become mine. The photographs of the kids on the dresser, the Bible on the nightstand, the cardigan hanging on the back of the door. I thought about going back to my house, the house I'd shared with Henry, the house full of silence and memories and ghosts, and I felt something inside me break. The explosion came 2 weeks later, and it was worse than I could have imagined. I had started packing, slowly, quietly, sorting through my clothes, boxing up my books, trying to prepare for the return to a life I no longer wanted. The kids noticed, of course. Children always notice. "Why are you packing, Grandma?" Lily asked, standing in the doorway of my room with worried eyes. "I'm going to go back to my house for a while, sweetheart." "Why? Don't you like it here anymore?" "I love it here, but sometimes grown-ups need their own space." "I don't want you to go." Jacob appeared behind her, his lower lip trembling. "Gamma stay?" I knelt down, ignoring the protest in my knees, and pulled them both into my arms. "I'm not going far. You can visit me any time, and I'll visit you. Nothing really changes." But it was a lie, and we all knew it. That evening, Claire came home from work in a mood. I could tell by the way she slammed the car door, by the sharp click of her heels on the walkway. She swept into the house, threw her bag on the counter, and poured herself a large glass of wine before even greeting the children. "Mommy!" Lily ran to her. "Grandma's packing. She says she's leaving." Claire's eyes found mine over Lily's head. "Is that right?" "We discussed this," I said carefully. "I thought it was what you wanted." "It is what I want. I'm just surprised you're actually doing it." The edge in her voice made me tense. "I'm doing what you asked." "Are you? Or are you doing it to make me look like the villain in front of my children?" "Claire, all week they've been crying at bedtime. Lily told her teacher that Grandma is leaving because Mommy doesn't want her anymore. Do you have any idea how that made me look? I never said that." "You didn't have to. You're playing the martyr, poor Grandma being kicked out, and my own children are choosing you over me." David appeared from his office. "Claire, what's going on?" "What's going on is that your mother has convinced our children that I'm some kind of monster for wanting my own family back." "I did no such thing," I said, my voice shaking. "Really? Then why does Lily say you cry in your room at night? Why does Jacob ask me why I'm being mean to Gamma?" "That's not fair." "What's not fair is you undermining my parenting. What's not fair is you making my children feel guilty for loving me. What's not fair is you acting like you're their real mother, and I'm just some interloper." "Claire, that's enough," David said. But she was on a roll now, 2 glasses of wine on an empty stomach, and weeks of resentment pouring out. "No, it's not enough. I'm tired of tiptoeing around her feelings. I'm tired of being the bad guy in my own house. I'm tired of competing with her for my children's affection." "I never asked to compete with you," I said quietly. "You didn't have to ask. You just did it. You swooped in after your husband died and made yourself indispensable. You turned my children into yours. And now you're playing the victim because I'm finally asking you to back off." "I think I should go to my room," I said, turning away. "That's right. Run away. That's what you always do. Run away and cry and make everyone feel sorry for you." "Claire!" David's voice was sharp now. "Stop it. That's my mother you're talking to. And I'm your wife. When are you going to choose me?" Their argument continued, but I didn't stay to hear it. I went upstairs, closed the door to my room, and sat on the edge of the bed with my hands shaking. Through the floor, I could hear their raised voices. Through the walls, I could hear Lily crying, and somewhere in the house, Jacob was calling for me. "Gamma? Gamma?" But I didn't go to him. For the first time in 2 years, I didn't go. The end came 3 days later. I had barely left my room, taking meals alone, staying out of everyone's way. David knocked on my door several times, apologizing, asking me to come down, but I couldn't. The thought of facing Claire, of seeing that resentment in her eyes, was too much. On Thursday evening, there was a knock. Lily's voice. "Grandma, can I come in?" "Of course, sweetheart." She came in with her homework, her face hopeful. "Will you help me with my math? Mommy said she's too busy." I hesitated. This was exactly what Claire had accused me of, undermining her, taking her place. But how could I turn away my granddaughter? Okay, I said. Let's see what you're working on. We sat together on the bed, going through multiplication problems. Lily leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, and I felt that familiar warmth, that sense of purpose. We were so focused that we didn't hear Claire come up the stairs. Lily, I thought I told you to do your homework at the kitchen table. Lily jumped. I just wanted Grandma to help me. Your father can help you. But Grandma explains it better. Claire's face went red. Lily, go to your room. But my homework. Now. Lily gathered her books, gave me one frightened look, and left. The door closed behind her, and I was alone with Claire. I asked you to give us space, Claire said, her voice dangerously quiet. She came to me. I wasn't going to turn her away. That's the problem. You never turn them away. You never say no. You never let them need me. Claire, I'm not trying to... Do you know what Jacob said today? The daycare called because he was crying, saying he wanted his gamma. Not his mother. His gamma. He wouldn't calm down until they called you. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, because you're too busy being their favorite, being the hero, being the one they love more. That's not true. It is true. She was yelling now, her composure completely gone. And you know what the worst part is? You're too old for this. You're 68 years old, Margaret. Your hands shake when you pour coffee. You fall asleep in your chair. You take a dozen pills every morning. You're too old to be raising children. The words hung in the air between us. Too old. These kids need a young mother, Claire continued, her voice cold now. They need someone who can run with them at the park, not someone who sits on the bench. They need someone who understands modern parenting, not someone stuck in the 1970s. They need me, not some old woman playing house because she can't accept that her real life is over. Something in me went very still. Is that what you think? That my real life is over? Isn't it? Your husband is dead. Your son is grown. You've lived your life. Why can't you just accept that and let us live ours? I stood up slowly, my 68-year-old joints protesting, my 68-year-old heart breaking. I'll be gone by the weekend. Good. But Claire? What? Those children love me because I love them, not because I'm trying to replace you, not because I'm playing house, because love is the one thing that doesn't get old. I walked past her, down the stairs, past David, who was standing in the kitchen with a stricken expression on his face, past the children's rooms where I could hear Lily crying and Jacob calling for me. I walked out the front door, got in my car, and drove to my house, the house I hadn't slept in for 2 years, the house where Henry had died, the house that was now just a shell full of silence. I sat in the driveway for a long time before I could make myself go inside. My house was exactly as I'd left it. Dust covered every surface. The air was stale and heavy, and the silence was deafening. I walked through the rooms like a stranger, touching furniture that no longer felt like mine, looking at photographs of a life that seemed to belong to someone else. The first night, I couldn't sleep in my bedroom. The bed was too big, too empty, full of Henry's absence. I slept on the couch with the television on, afraid of the quiet. David called the next morning. Mom, please come back. Claire didn't mean those things. She was just upset. She meant every word, I said. And she's right. It's your family, not mine. That's not true. You're always family. Just not family enough to live with you. Mom! I need some time, David. Please. He stopped calling after that. Or maybe I just stopped answering. The days blurred together. I'd wake up late, make coffee I barely drank, sit at the kitchen table with nothing to do. The house that had once been full of David's laughter, Henry's terrible jokes, the smell of Sunday dinners and Christmas mornings was now just walls and memories. I thought about the children constantly. Wondered if Lily was struggling with her homework, if Jacob was still asking for me, if they understood why I'd left, or if they thought I'd abandoned them. I imagined them forgetting me, moving on, growing up without their gamma. The pain of that was worse than anything Claire had said. I tried to find things to fill my days. I joined a book club at the library, but everyone there was talking about grandchildren, showing photos, and I had to excuse myself before I started crying. I volunteered at the church, but the sight of young mothers with their children made my heart ache. I gardened, I cleaned, I organized closets that were already organized. Nothing helped. I was too old to raise children, Claire had said. Too old to be useful, too old to be needed, too old to matter. Maybe she was right. On the 28th day, I was in the garden, pulling weeds in the flower bed Henry had planted before he died, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Is this Margaret Cole? Yes. Mrs. Cole, this is Linda Patterson from Child Protective Services. I'm calling regarding your grandchildren, Lily and Jacob Morrison. My heart stopped. What's wrong? Are they hurt? They're physically fine, ma'am, but we've removed them from their parents' home due to safety concerns. We're looking for temporary placement, and their father listed you as the primary relative contact. Would you be willing to take custody of the children while we sort this out? The phone nearly slipped from my hand. What happened? I can't discuss details over the phone, but we need to place the children tonight. Can you come to our office? Yes. Yes, of course. I'm on my way. I dropped the phone, grabbed my keys, and ran to the car. My hands shook as I started the engine. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. Too old, Claire had said, but not too old for this. The Child Protective Services office was in a gray building downtown that smelled like disinfectant and desperation. I gave my name at the desk and was shown to a small conference room where Linda Patterson was waiting. A tired woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a folder full of papers. Mrs. Cole, thank you for coming so quickly. What happened to my grandchildren? She opened the folder. There was an incident at the home 3 nights ago. A neighbor called the police after hearing a domestic disturbance. When officers arrived, they found the children alone in the house. Both parents were gone. Your son David was at a bar, and his wife Claire was at a hotel. The children hadn't been fed, hadn't been supervised. Lily was trying to make dinner for herself and her brother. I felt sick. Where are they now? In a temporary foster home, but they're very distressed. They've been asking for their gamma. Tears spilled down my face. Can I see them? That's why we called you. We'd like to place them with you immediately if you're willing. But I need to ask you some questions first. For the next hour, Linda asked about my health, my living situation, my relationship with the children. I answered honestly, holding nothing back. The children's mother told investigators that you recently moved out of the family home. She claims you were... What were her words? Linda checked her notes. Too old and interfering. Can you tell me about that? I took a breath and told her everything. The move after Henry died, the 2 years with David's family, the gradual tension with Claire, the final fight. She said I was too old to care for children. I finished quietly. She said my real life was over. Linda made notes, her expression unreadable. And how do you feel about taking care of 2 young children at 68? It's a significant responsibility. I know I'm not young, I said. My hands shake sometimes. My knees hurt. I can't run as fast as I used to. But I love those children more than anything in this world. I would do anything for them. I would give them everything. Even if it's hard, even if you're tired. I've been tired before, I said. Tired doesn't matter when someone needs you. Linda studied me for a long moment. Then she closed the folder and smiled. Let's go get your grandchildren. They were at a foster home across town, a neat house with toys in the yard, and a kind-faced woman named Carol, who opened the door when we knocked. They're in the playroom, Carol said softly. I should warn you, they've been very withdrawn. They haven't eaten much. They cry at night. Can I see them? Of course. She led me through the house to a small room with books and toys, and 2 small figures sitting on the floor. Lily was holding Jacob, rocking him slightly, and they both looked up when the door opened. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Lily whispered, "Grandma?" And they ran. They crashed into me so hard I nearly fell. I dropped to my knees and wrapped my arms around them both, and we stayed like that, all three of us crying, holding on to each other as if we'd never let go. "Gamma!" Jacob sobbed into my shoulder. "Gamma came." "I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm so sorry it took so long." "We thought you didn't want us anymore," Lily said, her voice breaking. "Never, never, ever. I always wanted you. I always will. Mommy said you went away because you were too old to take care of us." I pulled back to look at her tear-stained face. "Your mommy was wrong, sweetheart. I wasn't too old. I was just sad. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again." "Promise?" Jacob held up his pinky. I linked my pinky with his. "Promise." Linda cleared her throat from the doorway. "Mrs. Cole, we need to fill out paperwork and go over the custody arrangement, but I think we can do that after you've had some time together." "Can we go home?" Lily asked. "To Grandma's house?" I looked at Linda, who nodded. "Yes, sweetheart, let's go home." Building a life. The first weeks were chaos. My house had no children's beds, no toys, no clothes that fit them. David and Claire's house, the one they'd been removed from, was still under investigation, and I wasn't allowed to go there. So we started from scratch. David's friends dropped off Lily's clothes and Jacob's favorite stuffed animals. My neighbor gave us a twin bed. The church donated books and puzzles. Slowly, my quiet house transformed into something alive again. I enrolled Lily in the elementary school 3 blocks away and Jacob in a preschool program. I learned to pack lunches with juice boxes and goldfish crackers. I figured out YouTube tutorials and helped with science projects. I pushed Jacob on swings even though my joints ached, and I read bedtime stories until my voice grew hoarse. It was exhausting. My body hurt in ways it hadn't before. Some mornings I woke up so stiff I could barely get out of bed. But when Lily would appear in my doorway, sleepy-eyed and asking if I could braid her hair, I'd get up. When Jacob would climb into my lap with a book, I'd read it. When they needed me, I was there. Because that's what love does. It shows up, even when it's tired, even when it's old. David came to visit after the first week. He stood on my porch, looking smaller somehow, older. His eyes were red. "Mom." "David." "Can I see them?" I let him in. The kids were wary at first, but Jacob eventually climbed into his lap, and Lily showed him her new school project. David wept quietly, holding them, and I gave him space. When the kids went upstairs to play, he turned to me. "I'm so sorry." "I know." "I should have stood up to Claire. I should have protected you. I should have protected them." "Yes, you should have." The night they took the kids, Claire and I had a fight, a bad one. She said she couldn't do this anymore, couldn't be a mother. She left, just walked out. And I was so angry, so hurt, I went to a bar. "I left them alone, Mom. I left my children alone." His voice broke completely. "I'm a terrible father." "You made a mistake," I said quietly. "A big one, but you can fix it." "How?" "CPS says the custody hearing is in 3 months. They might not give them back." "Then you do the work, David. You get counseling. You prove you can be the father they need. You fight for them." "What about Claire?" I was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. That's between you and her and God." "She's in rehab," he said softly. "Alcohol. She's been drinking more than I realized. More than she realized. The stress of work, the kids, everything. It became too much." I felt a flicker of something that might have been sympathy, might have been understanding. I didn't know she was struggling. None of us did, or maybe we did, and we just didn't want to see it. We sat in silence for a while, watching dust motes dance in the afternoon light. "Can I keep visiting?" David asked. "Can I still be their father?" "You'll always be their father, David. But right now, what they need is stability, consistency, safety. And you'll give them that. I'll try. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Respect, maybe, or recognition. You're not too old, Mom. Claire was wrong. You're exactly what they need. After he left, I went upstairs to check on the kids. They were in Lily's room, building a fort out of blankets and pillows. "Grandma, come see!" Jacob called. I crawled into the fort, my knees protesting, and sat with them in the dim glow of a flashlight. Lily leaned against my shoulder. Jacob played with my fingers. "Is Daddy coming back?" Lily asked quietly. "Someday, maybe. When things are better. Do you think Mommy will get better?" "I hope so, sweetheart." "Are we going to live with you forever?" I kissed the top of her head. "For as long as you need me, for as long as you want me, I'm not going anywhere." "Good," Jacob said, snuggling closer. "I like it here." "Me too," Lily whispered. And in that blanket fort, with my grandchildren pressed against me, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Not just needed, not just useful, whole. The custody hearing, was scheduled for December 15th, 3 months after the children came to live with me. The weeks leading up to it were filled with home visits, evaluations, interviews. Social workers came to observe me with the kids, to check my house, to ask endless questions. Was I physically capable of caring for young children long term? Did I have a support system? What were my plans for their education, their emotional well-being, their future? I answered every question honestly. Yes, I was 68. Yes, I sometimes got tired. Yes, my body wasn't what it used to be. But I showed them Lily's improved report card, Jacob's laughter, the routine we'd established, the life we'd built. I showed them love, made visible. David visited every week. He'd completed an anger management course and was attending therapy. He brought reports, certificates, proof that he was trying to change. But when he looked at the kids, I could see the guilt in his eyes, the knowledge that he'd failed them. Claire came once, 2 weeks before the hearing. She looked different, thinner, paler, her expensive clothes replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. She sat in my living room, her hands shaking, and asked if she could see the children. "I don't know if that's a good idea," I said. "Please, Margaret, I'm their mother. You're the woman who called me too old to care for them. You're the woman who left them alone in a house with no food. You're the woman who chose alcohol over your children." She flinched. I know what I did. I'm not making excuses. But I'm trying to get better. I've been sober for 63 days. I'm in therapy. I'm doing the work." "Good. Keep doing it. But these children have been through enough. I won't let you hurt them again." "I'm not asking to take them back. I just want to see them, to tell them I'm sorry." I studied her for a long moment. She looked broken, this woman who'd once been so polished and perfect. But maybe broken people could heal. Maybe there was hope for her yet. 5 minutes, I said, in this room, with me present. I called the kids downstairs. Lily came down slowly, Jacob hiding behind her. When they saw Claire, they stopped. "Hi, babies," Claire said, her voice cracking. "Hi, Mommy," Lily said softly. Jacob said nothing, just pressed closer to his sister. Claire started crying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was sick, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I made terrible choices. I hurt you, and I hurt your grandma, and I'm sorry." "Are you better now?" Lily asked. "I'm getting better. It's going to take time, but I'm trying." "Are we coming home?" Claire looked at me, then back at Lily. "I don't know, sweetheart. That's up to the judge. But wherever you are, I want you to be safe and happy, even if that's not with me." It was, perhaps, the most honest thing Claire had ever said to them. After she left, Lily climbed into my lap. "Grandma, do we have to go back?" "That's not up to me, sweetheart. A judge will decide what's best for you and Jacob." "What if the judge says we have to leave you?" I held her tight. "Then I'll fight for you. With everything I have, The morning of the hearing, I woke before dawn. I dressed carefully in my best outfit, a navy dress, and Henry's favorite cardigan. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw a 68-year-old woman with gray hair and tired eyes. Too old, Claire had said, but I'd kept these children alive. I'd kept them fed and clothed and loved. I'd helped with homework and wiped tears and held them through nightmares. I'd been everything they needed. Age didn't matter. Love did. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled and formal. David sat on one side with his lawyer. Claire sat alone, her hands folded in her lap. And I sat at a table with Linda Patterson and a court-appointed attorney named Mr. Hughes. Between us, in their best clothes and nervous faces, sat Lily and Jacob. The judge was a woman in her 60s, named Judge Patricia Warren. She reviewed the case file, asked questions, listened to testimonies. David spoke about his mistakes and his efforts to change. Claire spoke about her addiction and her recovery. Social workers spoke about home visits and evaluations. And then Judge Warren asked to speak to the children. Lily went first, sitting in the big witness chair with her feet dangling. "Lily, can you tell me where you want to live?" Judge Warren asked gently. "With my grandma," Lily said immediately. "Why is that?" "Because she loves us. She makes us breakfast and helps with homework and reads to us at night. She never yells. She never forgets about us. She's always there." "Do you miss your parents?" Lily thought about this. "I miss my daddy. I hope my mommy gets better. But I feel safe with Grandma." "Safe is very important," Judge Warren said. "Thank you, Lily." Jacob was next. He looked terrified, clutching his stuffed rabbit. "Jacob, do you like living with your grandma?" He nodded. "Can you tell me why?" "She makes good pancakes," he said softly, "and she doesn't leave." Those 3 words, "she doesn't leave." Judge Warren's expression softened. "Thank you, Jacob. You can go sit down now." Then she turned to me. "Mrs. Cole, please approach." I stood, my legs shaking, and walked to the witness stand. "Mrs. Cole, you're 68 years old. You've raised 1 child already. You've been widowed. You have your own health challenges. Why should I place 2 young children in your care for what could be many years?" I looked at Lily and Jacob, at their anxious faces, at the hope in their eyes. "Your Honor, you're right. I'm 68. I do have health challenges. I can't promise I'll live to see them graduate high school, or get married, or have children of their own. But I can promise that for however long I'm here, I will love them with everything I have. I will keep them safe. I will teach them right from wrong. I will show up every day, no matter how tired I am, or how much my body hurts. Because that's what love is. It shows up. Even when it's hard? Especially when it's hard." Judge Warren made notes, reviewed files, conferred with the social worker. The minutes stretched into eternity. Finally, she looked up. "I've reviewed all the evidence and testimony in this case. While I recognize that both parents are making efforts toward recovery and rehabilitation, the children's safety and well-being must be the primary concern. The children have expressed a clear preference for living with their grandmother, and all reports indicate that Mrs. Cole has provided excellent care." My heart was pounding so hard, I thought everyone could hear it. "Therefore, I am granting temporary legal custody to Margaret Cole for a period of 1 year, after which we will review the situation. Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, you will be allowed supervised visitation as recommended by Child Protective Services, contingent upon continued treatment and compliance with all court orders." She banged her gavel. "We're adjourned." Lily and Jacob ran to me, and I caught them, holding them as tightly as I could without crushing them. We were all crying the kids, even Mr. Hughes. "We get to stay?" Lily asked through tears. "You get to stay," I whispered. David approached slowly. "Mom, I thank you. Thank you for doing this." "I'm not doing it for you, David. I'm doing it for them." "I know. and I'm going to do better. I'm going to be the father they deserve. I'm going to earn the right to have them back. Good. They need their father, just not right now. Claire stood by the door, watching us. Our eyes met across the courtroom. She nodded once, a gesture that might have been acknowledgement or apology or surrender. Then she turned and left. I gathered the children, thanked the lawyers and the judge, and walked out into the December sunshine. Grandma? Jacob tugged on my hand. Can we have pancakes when we get home? I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. Yes, baby, we can have pancakes. With blueberries? Lily asked. With blueberries. We went home to my house, which was now our house, and I made pancakes while the kids played in the living room. I could hear their laughter, their voices, the sound of toys being scattered and adventures being imagined. And I thought about Claire's words that terrible night. You're too old. Your real life is over. She'd been so wrong. My real life had just begun. 6 months later, spring arrived with warmth and color. The garden that Henry had planted bloomed again, and I taught the kids to pull weeds and water flowers. We planted tomatoes and sunflowers. Jacob liked to dig in the dirt. Lily liked to sketch the butterflies. David visited every Sunday. He'd completed his therapy and was rebuilding his life. He and Claire were divorced now, amicably, if such a thing was possible. She'd moved across the state to be closer to her treatment facility and her support group. She called the kids once a week, careful conversations that were slowly becoming easier. I'm proud of you, Mommy, Lily had told her during the last call, and Claire had cried. The kids were thriving. Lily's teacher said she was excelling in school, more confident and focused than before. Jacob had stopped having nightmares. They still asked about their parents, still hoped for reconciliation someday, but they'd adjusted to our life together. And I had adjusted too. I'd learned to pace myself, to ask for help when I needed it, to accept my limitations without shame. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, picked up the kids from school when my arthritis was bad. David took them on weekend outings to give me a break. The church community surrounded us with meals and support. It wasn't perfect. Some days I was so tired I could barely function. Some days my body hurt so much I wanted to cry. Some days I wondered if I was being selfish, if the kids deserved someone younger, stronger, better. But then Lily would show me her straight A report card with pride. Jacob would climb into my lap for stories. They'd hug me goodnight and whisper, I love you, Grandma. And I'd remember why I was doing this. Not because I was young, not because it was easy, but because they needed me and I needed them. One evening in May, I was sitting on the porch swing with a cup of tea, watching the kids play in the yard. David pulled up in his car, early for his usual Sunday visit. He sat beside me on the swing, and we rocked in comfortable silence for a while. The custody review is next month, he said finally. I know. CPS says I can petition to regain custody. My lawyer thinks I have a good chance. My heart constricted. I see. But I'm not going to. I turned to look at him. What? I'm not going to petition for custody, Mom. Not yet. Maybe not ever. David, they're your children. And you're giving them something I can't. Stability, consistency, a home where they feel safe. I'm still figuring out my life, still healing. They've already been through too much upheaval. They need to stay with you. Are you sure? I'm sure. He took my hand. You were right, what you said to Claire that night. Love doesn't get old, and you love them better than anyone, even their own parents. That's not true? It is true, Mom, and I'm grateful. I'm so damn grateful that they have you. We sat there on the swing, father and son, watching my grandchildren play. Lily was teaching Jacob how to do a cartwheel. He kept falling over, laughing, trying again. They're happy, David said softly. They are. Thank you, Mom, for everything. You're welcome. The kids ran up to the porch, breathless and grass-stained. Daddy, did you see my cartwheel? Lily asked. I did. Very impressive. Gamma, I'm hungry, Jacob announced. I stood up, my joints protesting as always. Then let's make dinner. David, are you staying? If that's okay. It's always okay. We went inside together, all four of us, into the house that smelled like home. I made spaghetti while David helped with homework. The kids chattered about their day. The evening light slanted through the kitchen windows, golden and warm. And I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, sitting in this same house, alone and grief-stricken, convinced her life was over. That woman wouldn't recognize me now, wouldn't recognize this chaos, this noise, this beautiful, exhausting, overwhelming love. Claire had said I was too old, but she'd been wrong about everything. Epilogue. 2 years later, the custody arrangement became permanent. David never petitioned to take the kids back. He remained an active, involved father weekends, holidays, school events. But Lily and Jacob lived with me. Claire got sober, really sober. She moved back to town after 18 months and started supervised visits that gradually became unsupervised. The kids were wary at first, but slowly, carefully, they began to rebuild their relationship with their mother. It wasn't the same as it had been. It would never be the same. But it was something, and something was better than nothing. On Lily's 10th birthday, we had a party in the backyard. David was there, and Claire, and kids from school, and neighbors, and church friends. Lily blew out her candles and made a wish, and I watched her with a full heart. After everyone left and the kids were asleep, I sat on the porch with my tea and my Bible, the way I did most evenings. The house was quiet, but not silent. I could hear the soft sound of breathing from upstairs, the creak of floorboards as Jacob rolled over in his sleep, the rustle of pages as Lily read by flashlight under her covers, even though it was past bedtime. I thought about Henry, gone now for 5 years. I thought about the woman I'd been when he died lost, purposeless, ready to disappear into grief. And I thought about the woman I'd become, 70 years old now, with hands that shook and knees that ached and a body that reminded me daily of its age, but also with purpose, with love, with 2 children who called me grandma and needed me and chose me every single day. Claire had been wrong about so many things, but she'd been right about one. My old life was over. The life where I was just a widow, just a mother with an empty nest, just an old woman with nothing left to give. That life had ended. And this new life, this beautiful, chaotic, exhausting, overwhelming life had begun. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Lily appeared in her pajamas, her hair messy from sleep. Grandma? I had a bad dream. I set down my tea and opened my arms. She climbed into my lap, even though she was getting too big for it, and I held her. Want to talk about it? No, I just wanted to make sure you were still here. I'm still here, sweetheart. Promise? Promise. She rested her head on my shoulder, and we sat together in the darkness, rocking slowly. After a while, her breathing deepened, and I knew she'd fallen asleep. I should have taken her back to bed. I should have tucked her in and gone to sleep myself. But I didn't. I just held her, this child who'd been given back to me, and I thanked God for second chances, for the opportunity to love again, for proving that you're never too old to be exactly what someone needs. The moon rose over the garden. A breeze rustled through the leaves. And in my arms, my granddaughter slept, safe and loved. Sometimes life takes away your family to give it back to you in a new form. Through small hands that need holding, through voices that call you grandma, through hearts that choose you again and again, not because you're young or perfect or strong, but because you love them. And love, I've learned, never gets old.